Welcome to the Mama Bear Family Care Mastermind Summit. I'm Sherilyn, and I'll be hosting the summit. Today, we'll be speaking with Susie Vance. She's an amazing example of living a life with no regrets. As a lawyer, she argued successfully before the Supreme Court. As a life coach and consultant, she's helped individuals and small businesses. For the past 30 years, she's created no regrets experiences for individuals and groups, allowing them to step out of their routines, often leading to surprising awarenesses. Susie is also an author and an artist and host of her podcast, Creating from the Heart, the Artistry of Living. Today, she provides no regrets experiences for young and old in the Indiana Dunes National Lakeshore just outside of Chicago. Hi, Susie. Thank you so much for making the time to join us today.
Hi, how are you?
Good. Excited to be talking to you.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to talk to you too.
Thank you. You have a fascinating story, and you're a very multi-passionate person. And you have a deep appreciation for people who say yes to opportunities that speak to them. And you're one of those people yourself. So can you tell us how you discovered a new perspective in life by using a green pen and how this helped you along your path from being a successful lawyer?
I was sitting in my office one day, which was overlooking the Picasso in downtown Chicago. And I never got to go down there. I never got to go outside. I never got to do anything for myself. I was just up in the morning, help other people, practice law, do lawsuits. My focus was what I call personal and professional divorces, husbands, wives, children, and employees and employers. And it always seemed to me that everyone had an emergency. And there wasn't any room in all of this for me. And I was just looking at my calendar, trying to figure out how I was going to juggle things around. And, slowly but surely, day after day, looking at a calendar with markings that were in navy blue or black and scratched out and written in, there wasn't any of me in that calendar. And I don't know what possessed me to use a green pen, except that, we all know that green means go and red means stop.
Yeah.
So I just decided that I would see what it was like to write something in my calendar in green and not compromise it, which means no matter who asked me to change my mind, the answer was, no, this is something I'm going to do. They didn't need to know necessarily what it was.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't remember what the first one was. Maybe it was going into an artist store and just exploring. Or I like hardware stores too. It's just like something for me.
Yeah,
to get my juices flowing. And I did it. And it worked. And the more that I did it, the more confident I became that I could stick to my green. And then even when I was standing in front of a judge who said, well, we're going to brief this and have a hearing next week on Tuesday at 3:00, I could say, that doesn't work for me. And I said it with my whole being in such a way that he said, well, okay, how about Thursday? And wow. I found that no matter who I had to say no to, it was all right.
Wow. That's so powerful because you're broadcasting the energy that this is a priority, and so often we feel almost apologetic if it's something like that that's like not important enough, right? Or it's not business. But I love
we should do whatever the other person is asking us to do.
Oh, yeah.
Like it won't wait.
Right. That's amazing that it still ends up getting done. Another way is found It's kind of
That's
liberating.
Right. That's right. Very.
Yes. And, I've just been reading a book called The One Thing. And it's a sort of a personal development / business help book. And that's actually one of the things that he talks about in there is prioritizing our self-care, at the same level that you would anything else. They don't need to know what your appointment is for, that your appointment is with yourself.
That's exactly right.
It's a very important appointment to take a bubble bath or visit a hardware store.
Maybe the most important appointment you have for the day.
Yes. And I've been learning the benefit of that concept in launching this business and putting together this summit. It's kind of a new concept for me, for a lot of us. I think that self-care is actually helps with our productivity. We feel like oh, we have to keep working, or like you said, doing things for other people because that's the way to get more important things done. But actually, when we're taking out of our own gas tank, that doesn't end up working. We can spend twice as much time and get half as much done if there's nothing inside us to give. Right. So what are some of the benefits that you have found from making those priorities and greening your life, as you call it?
I feel better about my days. I like getting up in the morning. Even on Mondays. It really has allowed me to explore much more of who I am and to be much more of who I am. And life has turned into fun.
Wow.
It's not that I don't have my days. I am in the middle of moving both my workspace and my home space. And it's taking a lot of energy to do that, but I still find a space for me.
That's lovely. That's such a powerful idea. It's exciting to me, to think of doing that more. Because a lot of times we just think, well, someday I'll take time for myself, right? It has to be today.
Just go buy a green pen.
I love that. Yes, I think I will. And you used to be a lawyer, and you even argued successfully in front of the Supreme Court.
I did.
I never would. It's sort of an interesting mix of experiences you've had, and I never would have thought, for example, that being a lawyer had much in common with being a life coach. But the more you think about it, I guess it makes sense. And you have a really interesting story of how the one sort of naturally flowed for you into the other. Can you tell us how that happened?
Yeah, first of all, because of the area in which I practiced, husbands, wives, children, and employees who were in deep conflict most of the time. Yeah. I just got tired of both sides spending so much time, energy, and money on the dispute instead of looking forward. And many times it even occurred to me that, when somebody was fired and thought they shouldn't have been, maybe it was in some ways, in retrospect, if they could get a little further down the road, the best thing that ever happened to them. Because it shifted them enough that they might have found something that they love to do. But being a lawyer is like being one who doesn't necessarily go to court, is like being a counselor. It's like taking a look at whatever the problem is and trying to help your client explore how to move out of whatever their dilemma is into a better place. And looking and exploring happens because you take the time to do that. And having somebody in your life that sort of holds your elbow, holds your hand, and asks questions and prompts you to look at other things you might not have thought of is really what coaching is all about. Coaching isn't about making the decision for your client. And frankly, in some ways, neither is the practice of law. What you're doing is making your client aware of how their circumstances fits in this picture that they've drawn for themselves and what their options are. In practicing law, when I was doing litigation, I would ask my clients, do you want the bronze defense? Do you want the silver defense? Or do you want the gold defense? There are different prices for that. And so when you go to coaching, it's like, are you going to spend the time and energy and money on your own to explore how you can make this situation a better one for you? What does this really mean? It isn't therapy. It's present day exploration of options.
Oh, okay. So the difference between the bronze, silver, and gold, it kind of has more to do with how much they're willing to invest, right? In their, and I can see how that would relate to coaching too. How hard are we willing to work for what we want? That sort of thing.
Yes. And
how big of
how
a leap
hard are you willing to work to figure out who you are and where you're going?
So you've seen a lot of people, you've helped a lot of people in both being a lawyer and a coach. And so have you noticed any recurring themes come up regularly with people that keep them from doing what it takes to live their dreams, or that make them hesitate, or to just what's getting in the way of them really living and loving their life?
In the practice of law, what often got in the way was people's anger, being mad at the situation they found themselves in, whether it was the employee or the employer, the husband, the wife, or the poor kid that found himself in the middle of all of this. And so, okay, this is happening. What are my choices? What can I do from the perspective of the client? What is out there for that client? What are the possibilities? And getting people to ask what else is possible is a big hurdle oftentimes. And in coaching, that's really where it's at. What else is possible? How can I do this differently? What else can I do? And oftentimes it's really understanding who you are and what you really wanted. And sometimes it even goes back as far as when you were a kid. What did you like to do when you were a kid? And there's usually an adult version of whatever that was. What's preventing you from doing that now? Or something that's related to that.
Yeah.
Just asking those questions. And also, often one of the things that got in the way was people's just being afraid of change. Just being afraid to put their, so usually people think they have to get from here and jump all the way to here.
Yeah.
When in reality, there are little things that you could do to see if that was right. And, the more little steps you take, somehow, the universe responds if that's who you are and says, yay, yeah, let's do more of that.
Oh, yeah. And then it's like riding a wave, right? You don't have to fight every step of the way.
No, and it's very important to look at what's easy, because when it's easy, it's usually right. It's usually, if it resonates, I say go for it. And
interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. So I'm just curious. I have a feeling that there's something more under the surface about that you have to offer about the bronze and the silver and the gold defenses. That's so fascinating to me. I haven't ever had to hire a lawyer, but did that have to do with the type of outcome that you would be going for?
I think it has to do with that. But it's really my way of helping people decide how much they want to invest. And when people spend money or have to think about it in terms of, okay, I'm going to spend this money if I want to go for broke, and I'm going to go all in, or maybe I'll just spend this money, or maybe I'll spend this much money. And having people explore those options really brings them to a point of, how much do I want to spend on this? How much do I want to spend for my anger? How much does the company want to pay for this? Whatever the situation is, which might be their mistake, might be the employee's mistake, might be a combination, but how much is it worth to explore this further or not?
Mm-hmm.
And it really helps people discern. Money has a lot to do with almost everything. And if we just recognize that, sometimes it's a useful tool to help us make decisions.
Wow. That is a unique perspective. It's so true. So even then you were sort of coaching people, it sounds like, sort of helping them figure out what was important to them.
Well, I didn't like people being surprised with large bills.
Uh-huh.
And it's important, if you're gonna get involved in a real cat fight, that you recognize that's what you're doing, and you're not going to be surprised by large bills and unexpected results.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, thank you for that. So the obstacles that you found were recurring had to do with fear and mainly, right?
And fear of outcomes, but also fear of trying something else.
Mm-hmm.
Fear, looking at it from a different point of view, fear of giving up something. I mean, many people who change, not many people do what I did, which was quit practicing law cold turkey. I don't recommend it for everyone. There are different ways you can sort of ease out of a situation you're in, but it's really important to honor who you are.
Yeah, absolutely. And so what are some of the most important first steps that we can take to shifting our lives to be more authentic, to find our way like that?
Well, one of the ways is to write down everything. Spend an hour all by yourself and write down a list of all the things you like to do. And when I say list of all the things, I mean, like, I like taking walks with my husband. I like taking walks alone with my dog. I like eating pasta. I like making bread. All of those things. I like writing. I like using my iPhone to take pictures. I like whatever it is you like. I like telling stories. If you just spend an hour writing nonstop, don't stop your pen, just write them all down, you will have really explored who you are. Then put it away for at least 3 days. And then, I know we're all made like this. You're going to remember things you think you didn't write down. Do not open the list. Write it on a Post-it and put it with the list, but don't open that list. And then 3 or 4 days later, when you have time by yourself alone, you get out your list and you take those Post-its and you look at them all. You cut them in little pieces of paper and you put them in the order of, I like this the most, to I like this, but it's the lowest on the poll. And then you know what really matters to you. And those things that are at the top of the list, You better pay attention to those. About the second one, yeah. The first one for me was I like to knit. The truth was knitting was my addiction.
Okay.
And I had to get real about that addiction.
Oh,
I had to realize that I used it to avoid other things.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Wow. There's so much to be learned from exploring this stuff.
Yeah. It's exploring yourself. There's a lot to be learned.
Yeah. Wow. So this is the work that you were talking about.
It's one,
right?
it's one of the tools I use. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. I can't wait to get started with that. Because I can see how that would be important anytime you're trying to do something big with your life or important with your life. Is you can't be too haphazard with your vision or your focus. And knowing ourselves is a huge part of that, because knowing what motivates us, right? And like, what's the point?
Also paying attention to those times in life when you're really uncomfortable. And if you're really uncomfortable, what is that?
Okay. Well, I find for myself that makes me think of, it's usually when I'm not in alignment with my values.
There you go.
Yeah.
And that's what it was for me practicing law.
Okay.
I went from practicing law to trying to use mediation, which helped a little, but I still was so uncomfortable. I just didn't feel good about what I was doing. I occasionally would feel good about helping somebody, but as a general rule, and I quit cold turkey.
Yeah. Yeah, you were in a PBS documentary about women in leadership that I watched last night, and that was really fascinating. I think that's where you mentioned that you just walked into the office and told them you were ready to leave, right? And then you were going to start winding it down over the next year, but you just made that decision and you haven't looked back.
I did.
Wow, that's so inspiring. And have you always been an artist? Or I know you're an artist now. Can you tell us a little bit about your art and how
I'm
allowing yourself to play?
I've always been a person who really loved the tactile feel of fiber. My mother taught me to knit when I was 12. And when I was in college, I knit sweaters for boyfriends. When I was in law school, I knit because I couldn't stand to just sit and have a lecture. I needed to be doing something. And knitting, eventually, when my mother died, I bought a loom and I joined the Weavers Guild. And when I joined the Weavers Guild, I learned how to weave. And then I learned how to spin. And then I've always thought I'd like to really play with the fiber, and felting is a process I never understood other than putting a wool sweater in a washing machine and have it turn out much too small for me. But I learned, I had a person who came to my house and I paid her to teach me for a day how to do this. And then I started thinking, well, maybe if I didn't felt it so hard, it wouldn't be like a sweater that came out of the washing machine. It would be something beautiful, like what's behind me.
And
you can use all kinds of fiber to do that kind of stuff. And so I just gave myself over to it.
Oh, wow. Yeah, it's a fascinating process. They show a little bit of it in that documentary, I believe.
Right.
Yeah. Wow. That's so beautiful. And it ends up becoming a form of a painting.
Yes.
But with fibers.
Right.
Wow. And
all you do is put the fibers together, and then you use soapy water and you massage it and you work with it and you push it around, and Fiber is like people. If you press them and you agitate them, truly they want to stick together. And so the fiber starts clinging together, and every piece, like the piece behind me, gets to be about 2/3 the size it was originally.
Oh, wow.
Because the fibers are terrified.
Just kind of, yeah, they come together. Yeah.
Right.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. And then did you say you don't really see the finished design until, you can't really tell what it's going to look like until it's completely done, right?
There's always surprises.
Yeah. Wow. It's like living paint. That's fascinating. And so that's one of the ways that you play. You said that you you gave yourself permission to play. Right?
Exactly.
And that kind of realization eventually opened the door to your podcast, right? Because you talked about how we're all artists.
That's right. I love Sister Corita Kent's quote. We are, not all of us are painters, but we are all artists. Every time we fit something together, whether it's a loaf of bread, a child, or a life, we are creating. And we do that all the time. We create even by the words that come out of our mouths. We impact other people. We impact what's around us. And it's just how I've learned to live my life.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's so beautiful. And everything, we don't often think of it that way, but I heard you talk about even a construction worker making a street, or putting together a new place when we move into a new place, figuring out where the furniture is going to go, right? Everything's art. Well, we're creators. We can't help it.
And one of the greatest movies, one of the best movies I ever saw that was about this, was called Water for Chocolate. And it was the story of a couple who loved each other very much, but the couple was the sister of the woman who was going to marry the man. And it's a story about how the sister, how the woman who was engaged to the man, and the woman who was the sister who was charged with making the wedding feast. She made the wedding feast, but when she was making it, she was so upset because she was in love with her sister's fiance that she cried into the food. And everyone in the celebration of the wedding dissolved in tears.
Oh, I think I've seen that. Yeah.
It's all about what you put out and what you put into what you do.
Wow.
So even the words that come out of your mouth are often,
and it just goes out into the universe and affects everything, really, other people, but wow. And so what is the idea behind your podcast? Because it's called
Creating from the Heart, the Artistry of Living. And it resulted from I have a friend who works for a marketing company, and he decided to do a little marketing thing about his part of the company. And he did it, and I thought it was terrific. But I called him up and I said, Joe, you really need a sidekick. Mm-hmm. And he said, okay, will you be my sidekick? Oh. So we ended up doing about 15 or 20 videos on it. We called them Tuesdays with Joe and Susie. Oh. And they're really good stories about how to use Microsoft Teams if you're an entrepreneur. So I liked it so much. Mm-hmm. I decided that I would experiment myself. I'm part of a group that runs an art museum here. And I decided to interview people who came to show their art. So I did that. I did about 5 of them. And then I did I was still hungry. I did 5 more for the next season. And then I was still hungry. I did 5 more for a project in my town. And then I thought, maybe I could do this. Maybe I could do this. And so I talked with some people who help me now with this project, and they said, go for it. And so I started 3 years ago this coming January, and I decided I had to have 20 of them, 10 to 15 minutes long, in my back pocket before I put them out there, because I needed to be able to take a vacation if I ever wanted to.
Oh.
And so I started, and lo and behold, it's just been fabulous. And my message is, here are a bunch of people. Here are all these people who have responded to what they love in life. They're doing their thing. And you too can do your thing. Just take the advice. Look at how these people did it and go do your thing. Go do your thing.
I absolutely
and I'm hoping
love that.
they're a pink permission slip for people to try out what they've always wanted to do.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I've watched several of them. And I love that idea that it could be anything, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's just the idea that they're living their life.
Right.
They're giving their gift, or as you say, we are a gift, right?
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
And especially when we are living in harmony with our heart. Because
exactly.
Yeah, wasn't it you that said that our heart connects the spirit or our mind with our body?
I don't know if that's something I said, but it certainly resonates with me.
Yeah, because it sort of grounds our spirit into physical reality. So we can end up becoming depressed and detached and not really feel like we have a purpose or like we're living our purpose if we're not connected to our heart. Mm-hmm. Right? Because our heart can help us connect to our higher selves, or our more of our spirit.
And what really matters to us. That's right.
Yes. And so what are you up to these days besides the podcast? Are you still doing any workshops or?
I do them when I'm asked. I love to teach Fred. I have a class for that. I love to teach haiku, what I call memoir in 17 syllables, which is writing haiku. I'm available, and I now have a new studio where people can come. That would be great. And life is really good.
Oh, wonderful. Where is your studio?
My studio is in Michigan City at 536 10th Street, West 10th Street. And I'm in studio number 10. It's the St. Mary's, used to be an elementary school.
Oh, okay. And that's your art studio? Or
yes. That's my studio for all the playful things I do.
Oh, wonderful. So when you do hold a workshop, that's where it is also?
Yes.
Okay. And the bread workshop, that was interesting. I saw that on the PBS documentary also. It's more than just making bread, right? Just making bread, because that's a kind of a powerful experience, especially if it's in a group. People find it very inspiring, don't they?
Yes, they do. They do.
And sort of empowering that you can.
And they go home with a loaf of bread to cook and one to eat.
Oh, wonderful. I love that idea. So you've learned how to use all kinds of different experiences to help people get in touch with who they are.
I do.
And their purpose.
Yeah.
I love that. And so there are a couple of questions that I wanted to ask every expert to help the audience see the connection that what you do has with empowerment, or what I'm calling mama bear energy. and ecological living. And what Mama Bear energy means to me is making a decision to stand up for and insist on doing what is most important for yourself and your family, and making those things non-negotiable priorities, despite any challenges or resistance or sacrifices that might have to be made. And I think I know the answer to this question, but was that kind of decision a part of your journey?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, how have you dealt with that? You must, anyone who takes sort of a different or unusual path inevitably comes up with some sort of resistance. People around you thinking, that's not smart, or that's crazy. What are you doing? How did you keep the strength within yourself to keep going on, in the face of that kind of resistance, or maybe even fear of the unknown? What gave you the strength to keep going on that?
A long time, very, very, very long time ago, a woman who I knew gave me two sayings, and they are affirmations, I suppose you could say. And I just say them when I get stuck. It's the creator in me reveals the divine mission in me. I accomplished that divine mission this day. I'm in the right place at the right time, doing my creator's work. And I can say that going down the highway when I'm speeding and I slow down because I'm late for a meeting, but I'm in the right place at the right time, doing my creator's work. And the other one is the creator in me reveals the divine mission in me. No, wait a minute. The creator in me reveals where I am to be, who I am to be, and what I am to do. And the combination of those two things, when I'm stuck or agitated or whatever, really calm me down.
Wow. Thank you. It sounds like it grounded you.
They just settle me. Yes, they ground me.
Wow. Right. Thank you so much for that. And so it sounds like it's definitely been worth it. Can you tell us how those choices have enriched your happiness and success?
Well, I made a choice a long time ago when I was in my late 20s, mid-20s, late 20s, which was to give up custody of my children in order to be myself. That was not an easy decision at the time. And I have wrestled with it for a long time. I have been blessed with my relationship with both of my children. I have a son and a daughter who are now in their late 50s. And as they like to say, thank you, Mom, for doing your work. We've all done our work and we have come through this. It's just, they are both, I'm speechless at how blessed I am to have those children. And they are just part of me. And it wasn't an easy decision. It wasn't an easy journey from then on for a long time. It was before cell phones. And so communication was sometimes difficult. I learned that if the conversation lasted 5 minutes on the phone, that was okay. If it lasted an hour and a half, that was okay. If my new husband complained about our phone bill, I would just say communication is everything. And I was true to myself. And I sit here today to tell you that I have 2 children who are true to themselves. And
Wow.
I am blessed for that.
Yes. Well, thank you for sharing that. That can be a very difficult, very touchy subject for a woman.
Yes, and I did end up helping a lot of women struggle with that.
Yeah.
Who ended up doing one or the other, but
well, that goes to show that doing what we need to do for ourselves often it helps us, even though it may be difficult. It helps us ultimately show up in all areas of our lives too, and end up being, it can be a really, we're faced with very difficult situations these days, and it's not so black and white or easy, to judge certain things. Like, I know my parents separated when I was 13, and even though obviously ideally it would have been nice if it worked out, but I understood why my mom chose to leave, and because I understood it, it helped me to be 100% behind her decision, because it, even though it was difficult for all of us, it caused less damage to, you can see, I could be proud of her. I could, and it was a good example for me as well, to have dignity and self-respect, and you end up leading by example. And then also you mentioned having, like in the airplane, you have to put the oxygen mask on yourself first, right?
yes.
Because for those of the audience who may not have heard about that metaphor, you want to tell us how that works?
Sure. You get on the airplane, and the stewardess, one of the first things that she says to you is put on your oxygen mask if something goes wrong, and then help somebody else, help your child or help somebody else, because you cannot help somebody else if you're not breathing the oxygen. And it's so true. You have to honor who you are first.
Yeah.
And then you have all kinds of strengths to help somebody else.
Right. Thank you so much for that. That can be a hard one, piece of knowledge for a lot of us. So what eco-friendly living means to me is living in harmony with the realities of the world around us, including who we are and who others are, instead of fighting against it. Living in harmony with who we are and what we need, what our needs are. Trying to bypass or ignore the way things are actually can make things a lot harder and really doesn't work, especially in the long run. And I really love how you took and continue to take the steps that you need to honor yourself and also to help others do the same. So what words of encouragement or advice can you offer to our viewers who are struggling to align their priorities with their values, about the empowerment that comes with that?
The empowerment is incredible. If you keep exploring who you are, if you commit to discovering new things about yourself all the time, if you commit to doing the things that make you happy, it's just amazing. I can't, it is. It's all about being authentic. And I know that's an overused word, but it really is the discernment of deciding day by day, little things, big things, yes, no, maybe. And for the maybes, put your toe in the water to see if that's what that is.
Yeah.
Take a little risk. Go outside of your comfort zone to try something new.
That's so powerful.
Well, what it relates to for me, I mean, just a little thing, a harmless thing. But I had a friend who came home from a weekend retreat once and had made a plaster of Paris mask and decorated it. And I said, oh, I'd like to do that. So we did it. And the amazing thing is my face was so small. I must have had this feeling that my face that I was enormous or something. I don't know. But when I took my mask off and looked at it, I thought, that's not very big. And it made me want to help other people see that for themselves too. Maybe they'd have different reactions. Yeah. So I did a whole slew of workshops using that process. And it's really a fun one to get to know yourself.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Who would have thought, right? And
I know. And I love to do it with women's groups, and especially women and their daughters, because there's something about making the mask, which one person does by putting the plaster of Paris on the other's face. There's something about watching a daughter put the mask on the mother and the mother put the mask on the daughter. It's just
wow.
Really fun. And then they decorate them in their own personal way.
Oh, wow. That does sound like so much fun. And it reminds me of one of the things that I've heard you say, that you have to offer as your gift is that you want to help people find is perspective. And it sounds like that helped you gain perspective, look at your face from a different angle. And that's such a powerful metaphor. There's different ways of, perspective is such a powerful thing. You know, it's so closely tied to our happiness, our motivation. Two people can be in the same situation and have very different experiences, right? Because of their perspective on it, or someone who's coming from poverty and they go into what we would think of as a mediocre situation, and someone who's coming from wealth goes into the same situation, they might be disappointed or feel put out, but someone coming from poverty might feel very blessed in the same situation. And so perspective is really powerful, and you've discovered so many different ways of attaining that perspective, and that's really fascinating. Just by getting in touch with, like you said, who we are, what makes us happy, what's important to us. I never would have seen those things as a path to gaining perspective, but that's really powerful.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you. So to the audience, definitely check out Susie's podcast. It's called Creating from the Heart, The Artistry of Living. And you have a free gift for the viewers. You want to tell us about that?
Do. Let me just say they can find the podcast on YouTube or Spotify. My free gift is, I think you're going to attach the free gift, but it's about writing your memoir in 17 syllables, not 17 words, 17 syllables. And if you follow what it is about how to do that, you will be pleasantly surprised and maybe even amazed at what you come up with.
Thank you. It's a very interesting exercise. And I haven't gotten to do the whole thing yet. I want to give it the attention that it deserves, but it's really fascinating. It's a video, right? A short video.
It's a short video, and it walks you through the process. And because it's a video, you can rewind it as many times as you want, and just calmly, sweetly, honoring yourself, go through the process and write the memoir in 17 syllables that I promise you, it will be the core of your existence.
Wow.
Mine, I think I say mine at the end of the little video, but it's one syllable, one step at a time. Dreamer, weaver, peacemaker, heartfelt butterfly. And that, I am amazed, because the more I've lived my life, the more I realize that's who I am.
Oh, that's so lovely. Yes, and there will be a link here on the page for that. What a sweet ending to this interview with you. That's so beautiful. And so where else should I just want to make sure we're covering everything, and that the audience, where they can go to find out more about your work. What's the best place to go?
The best place to go for the podcast is to Susie Vance, SUZYVANCE.com. You can see all the video podcasts. For the artwork, you just have to watch Facebook and things like that, and I'm part of different art organizations. I'm part of the Chesterton Art Center here in the Midwest. I'm part of the Area Artists Association through the Besnick Center, also in the Midwest. And that's about it.
Wonderful. Thank you. And is your art for sale? Are there prints, or can people buy the original art?
They can. I don't have a website that puts all that up anymore. But if you're interested, I'm happy to share with you.
Oh, wonderful. So yeah, well, there's a contact form on your website where people can get in touch, right? And that's susievance.com, correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay, well, thank you so much for sharing your insights with us.
Thank you for having me. It was an honor to be here.